And we're going to start with a thought experiment, and it's a serious one. It gets right to the heart of what it means to work today.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You're walking out of your office right now. The elevator doors close. And in that moment,
Yeah.
you could choose to instantly skip the entire 8 hours of work you just did.
Instantly.
All of it. The meetings, the stress, the boring tasks, the commute. Just gone. Wiped from your memory as if it never happened. Would you do it?
It's the ultimate temptation, isn't it? It's the escape clause everyone fantasizes about.
Of course.
It's the promise of having a full life, without the cognitive load of a job constantly hanging over you, to just leave the stress at the door for real.
And this is the terrifying twist. This is the entire premise we're unpacking. That choice has a horrifying implication. Because if you sign on that dotted line, you are surgically sentencing a separate part of yourself, a thinking, feeling, fully aware consciousness, to eternal, unending labor.
You're enslaving it.
You are literally enslaving a version of you for your own convenience.
And that right there is why we have to do this deep dive on Severance. We're not just talking about it as, great TV, which it absolutely is.
It's brilliant television.
But we have to treat it as this cultural hyper object. It's a perfect, terrifying mirror held up to what we're calling corporate horror.
Exactly. So our mission today, using the work is hell analysis we've got in front of us, is to really pull apart the show's philosophical bones, because it argues that modern capitalism, to be truly efficient, demands nothing less than the literal fracture of the human soul.
It takes all those little metaphors we use, leaving work at work, putting on your work face, and it makes them a surgical, horrifying reality.
Yeah. The central thesis, the big idea from all this source material, is that Severance shows us the ultimate Marxist nightmare. It's not just that the worker is alienated from their product.
No, it goes so much deeper.
The worker is alienated from their own self, for their memories, their identity. And in showing us that, it exposes the chilling violence that's needed to maintain this illusion we all chase.
The myth of work-life balance.
The myth of work-life balance. So let's start there. Let's start with the theory, because you really can't talk about Luhmann without talking about Karl Marx.
You really can't.
So if you strip away all the aesthetic, right, the sterile white hallways, the retrofuturism, what you're left with is basically a textbook. A textbook written by Karl Marx in, 1844.
It's unbelievable how direct it is. The Severance chip, that little piece of sci-fi tech, is maybe the most perfect visual translation of Marx's theory of alienation and Fremdung that I've ever seen.
It's not just a feeling of being disconnected at your job. The show is so smart because it builds its entire world around the 4 specific types of alienation that Marx identified.
Exactly. It's not just a mood. It's a mechanism. It's the structure required for this kind of capitalism to function.
Okay, so let's break down those 4 fractures. Let's start with the most obvious one, the one the Innies are living every single second. Alienation from the product of their labor.
Right. What do they actually do?
What do? Mark, Helly, the whole macrodata refinement team. What is their job?
They sort numbers. That's it. Floating numbers on a screen that they drag into digital bins, and the only instruction they have is that the numbers are scary, and they have to keep sorting them until a bin feels right.
Which is, that's the perfection of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
When Marx was writing, a factory worker might not own the shoe he was making, but at least he knew it was a shoe. He saw the physical object.
He had that connection, however thin. The MDR refiners have nothing. The product is completely abstract. It has no purpose, no utility they can see.
And we, the audience, are right there with them in that meaning vacuum. We don't know what the numbers are either. Is it? Are they cleaning the ocean? Training an AI?
Censoring data. Sorting the emotional baggage of the board. The not knowing is the point. The opacity is the mechanism of control.
And it mirrors the modern knowledge economy so perfectly. Think about it. For so many of us, our deliverables are just data points. We're moving things around in spreadsheets, sending emails.
Without ever really knowing the final application, you're just refining. You're just moving the needle, hoping it actually connects to something real out there in the world.
But the analysis here suggests something even more chilling about the product.
It's emotional.
It's emotional. They are literally processing raw affect. Whoa. Frolic, dread, and malice. They're stripping emotion out of data.
So the labor they're performing on the numbers is the exact same thing the severance procedure performed on them.
Wow.
They are emotionally severing data, just as they have been emotionally severed from their own lives. It's this continuous self-referential nightmare.
That's incredible. Okay, so that leads directly to the second fracture,
Yeah.
right? If you don't know what you're making, You have no control over how you make it. Alienation from the process of labor.
Absolutely zero control. The Innie, from the second they appear in that elevator at the start of the day, is a complete prisoner of the process.
They can't resign. Only the Outie can do that, and we see how well that works out for Helle.
Right. They can't even decide to take a long lunch. The building is their entire universe. That elevator isn't just an elevator. It's this metaphysical barrier that resets their whole existence every day.
Their autonomy is gone. It's been handed over to Lemon, who manages them, and to the Outie, who is effectively their employer.
And when they try to fight back, even in a small way, like Helle trying to smuggle out a note, Lumen has a tool for that.
We have to talk about the break room.
Oh, the break room. It's one of the most horrifying things in the whole series.
It's this perfect, grotesque satire of the emotional labor we're all forced to perform in service jobs, right?
Yeah.
The customer is always right.
Taken to its absolute logical extreme, you are reduced to a machine that has to output the word sorry over and over again until some algorithm decides you're sincere.
The mechanism of it is just pure psychological torture. You have to repeat this mantra. Forgive me for the harm I have caused.
It's house and time.
Until you don't just say it, you perform it.
Yeah.
You internalize it. It's designed to break your will, to make you confess to a crime against the corporate religion that you didn't even commit.
And that systematic destruction of human agency, that's what leads us to the third alienation, which is maybe the deepest one. Alienation from our species being.
Our basic human nature, what Marx called Ertungswesen.
Right. Marx's idea was that what makes us human, what separates us from, say, a beaver building a dam, is our ability to engage in conscious, creative, free activity, to reflect on our own existence.
And the Innie is stripped of literally all of that. No history, no memories, no family, no love.
They don't even know what food tastes like outside of a Lumen vending machine. Their entire being, their reason to exist, is defined by their usefulness to the company.
And this is key. They never sleep.
We have to linger on that for a second because it's so horrific. For the Innie, life is one single, continuous, unbroken 9-to-5 shift. There's no rest, no dreams, no restorative cycle. Sleep is unproductive, so Lumen has eliminated it from their existence.
They are a consciousness that only exists to work. They are. The analysis calls them a homunculus of capital, a little person made of capital for capital.
The Outie sleep is just biological maintenance. It's just recharging the battery so that Innie can go back to work the next day. They are an engine that's never turned off, just paused.
It's a brutal reduction of what it means to be a person. And that brings us to the fourth and final fracture, alienation from other workers.
Or how to systematically prevent solidarity.
Lumen is the ultimate union-busting environment.
Yeah.
Everything is designed to stop people from connecting and realizing they're in the same boat.
It's all about division and suspicion. MDR is pitted against optics and design, O&D, through these ridiculous manufactured myths.
Like the coup that O&D supposedly attempted, or that spicy candy. These little bits of corporate lore designed to make them hate each other.
It's pure managerial strategy. Band mapping the floor, keep departments separate, foster distrust. These are classic union-busting tactics just turned up to a dystopian 11.
Which means that the system's greatest enemy,
Yeah.
the thing it fears the most, is genuine human connection.
And we see it. We see it in that beautiful, terrifying moment when Irving from MDR and Bert from O&D meet in secret.
And they share a little bit about who they are, and they touch hands.
That one small moment of human solidarity is the first crack in the whole foundation. Because in that moment, they recognize their shared condition. They see each other not as rivals, but as fellow prisoners.
So, okay, the Marxist theory gives us the cold structural framework of this hellscape.
The how.
The how, exactly. But the show's emotional core, the ethical horror of it all, is about the relationship inside that structure, the Outie versus the Innie.
And for that, you have to turn to Hegel. GWF Hegel's master-slave dialectic. It's a perfect fit.
It really is. It moves the whole conversation from abstract economics to this vicious personal violence, a civil war inside one person's head.
It's brutal.
Now, I'm going to take a position here. I'm going to try to defend the master in this dynamic. I'm going to defend the Outie, Mark Scout, because the show works very hard to give him a reason for what he does.
Okay, go on. Defend the man who traffics his own soul. I'm listening.
Look, his position comes from a place of profound desperation. Outie Mark is destroyed by grief. His wife is dead. He's drinking himself into a stupor. He can't function. The severance procedure for him is a psychological firewall.
So he can just not feel for 8 hours a day.
Exactly. It's a way for him to earn a living, to keep a roof over his head, while he is literally incapable of dealing with the world. He views the Innie purely as a tool, a mechanism for survival. It's self-enslavement by proxy, but it comes from a place of pain, not malice.
But Hegel's whole point is that this is the master's fatal weakness. The master, the Outie, gets the rewards, the paycheck, the time to grieve, but he becomes totally dependent on the slave, the Innie.
How so?
The Outie becomes soft. He's detached from the real world of work. He's in standby mode. He's just drinking and grieving, waiting for the Innie to go back and do the hard part. He's arrested.
I'd argue the Outie is providing the essential infrastructure. He feeds the body, clothes it, lets it sleep. The value extraction is total and symbiotic. The Innie provides the labor, the Outie provides the biological maintenance. They're two halves of a battery.
But only one half is a volunteer. The other is a prisoner. And there's no clearer evidence of this than that video message from Helly's Outie. It is. It's a declaration of ownership.
She looks right at the camera, at her own terrified face, and says it.
I am a person. You are not. I make the decisions. You do not.
It's one of the coldest lines in television history.
It's the master explicitly telling the slave they are property. And that just blows up the whole central issue, the thing the Outies try to ignore.
The non-consent problem.
The non-consent problem. The Outie signs a piece of paper. Fine, they consent for themselves. But the Innie, that distinct consciousness that is born the second that chip is activated, they never consented. They are born into a prison.
So it's not a job contract. It's trafficking. It's a trafficking of a sentient sub-personality. It completely challenges our whole idea of a unitary self.
And that violence, that lack of consent, is what creates revolutionary consciousness in the slave. This is pure Hegel. The bondsman, the Innie, achieves true self-awareness through work, yes, but also through the constant existential fear of death.
Death meaning the break room, or just the end of the day, vanishing for 16 hours.
Exactly. The Innie develops this desperate, radical will to live that the complacent, grieving Outie has lost. The Outie wants to hide from life. The Innie is clawing and scratching for just one tiny taste of it.
So the season finale, when they trigger the overtime contingency, that's the slave revolt. The Innie asserting its personhood in the master's world.
It forces the Outie and everyone around them to confront the grotesque reality of their choice.
But before that revolt, there's an even more profound philosophical act. We have to talk about Helly's suicide attempt.
Yes, she is the communion hero of the story.
Albert Camus said there is only one truly serious philosophical problem, and that is suicide. It's the ultimate rejection of an absurd existence.
And Helly realizes her existence is the definition of absurd. She is Sisyphus, pushing the same meaningless boulder of numbers up a hill every single day, forever. So she tries to hang herself in the elevator.
She turns her body, the only thing Lumen actually values, into a weapon against her own master. It's this absolute final act of reclaiming autonomy. Her logic is crystal clear. If I can't leave, I'll destroy the vessel.
And the Outie's response just cements the whole dynamic, the cold, panicked refusal to let her die.
You are not a person.
You are an asset. You are my property, and you will continue to suffer for my benefit. It's pure slavery. Her survival is what turns her from a victim into a revolutionary.
So if the master-slave dynamic is the show's heart, the architecture, the environment itself is the cage that contains it.
The building isn't just a setting. It's an active antagonist. It's designed to break you psychologically.
People have called the aesthetic liminal horror, and that feels so right. Can you describe that environment for us?
It's these endless, blindingly white, maze-like corridors, cheap industrial carpet. You can hear every single footstep echo, which just emphasizes how isolated they are.
It looks like those creaky internet images of the back rooms, a place you're supposed to pass through that's become a destination.
They're always in between. There are no clocks, no windows, no natural light. It's designed to destroy your sense of time and space.
Which creates this state of enforced infancy. You're completely dependent on the managers, on Milchick and Cobell, just to navigate your own world. The space itself makes you helpless.
And the way it's shot, the director constantly uses this Kubrickian one-point perspective, these huge, wide, symmetrical shots with a tiny little person in the middle of a vast, empty, hostile frame.
That control extends right into the office layout. The MDR office is a perfect panopticon.
A textbook panopticon, the idea from Foucault, right?
Exactly. 4 desks, clustered together, no walls, no privacy. The manager's office is always there watching, but you can't see in.
So you internalize the gaze. You have to assume you're being watched at all times. The system works because the inmates start policing each other.
And you see that perfectly with Irving at the beginning of the series. He's the model prisoner.
He's his own warden. He quotes the compliance handbook like it's scripture. He's scolding his coworkers for minor infractions. He's bought into the system so completely that he enforces its rules for free.
This whole structure forces us to look at the work itself. And that's where the writer David Graeber's theory of bullshit jobs just clicks into place perfectly.
It's a one-to-one match. Graeber's idea was that a bullshit job is one that's so pointless that even the person doing it can't justify its existence.
And what could be more pointless than sorting numbers that feel scary? It's the ultimate satire of arbitrary, disconnected corporate tasks. It's what Graeber called box ticking.
And here's the really horrible part. It doesn't matter if the numbers are real or not. The true torture, the spiritual violence, as Graeber put it, is the psychological damage of performing a meaningless task with forced sincerity.
This is where it connects to all of us, right? I mean, how many of us spend our days just moving numbers around in spreadsheets, filling out reports no one reads, without any idea what the final purpose is?
We're all refining scary numbers in some way.
And the Innie's desperation for it to mean something, that's the tragedy. They celebrate finishing a file like it's a religious experience because the alternative that they're suffering for absolutely nothing is just too horrifying to accept.
It's why Dylan clings to his little finger traps and his caricatures. They're the only tangible proof that his labor created something, anything, no matter how pathetic.
So Lumen isn't just a prison. It's not just a nightmare of meaningless labor. It's also a cult, a religion.
It is a high church of capitalism. It's this incredible satire of founder worship, the way we talk about Steve Jobs or Walt Disney. Keir Egan is their messiah.
And the compliance handbook is their Bible. It's bound like a Bible. It's recited like scripture.
And those 9 core principles. Industry frugality. Cheer. They're not just corporate values on a poster. They're a twisted version of the fruits of the spirit, but they're all weaponized to serve the company. Humility means you don't ask for a raise.
And the central mythology is that Keir tamed the 4 tempers inside himself. Woe, frolic, dread, and malice. So salvation, the Lumen cult, is achieved by suppressing your own emotions.
Because emotions get in the way of efficiency. They're a sin against productivity. It's the Puritan work ethic made into a surgical procedure.
And the goal of all this, the real endgame goal for the Egan family, seems to be literal immortality, using the corporation as a vessel to keep the founder's consciousness alive.
And the Innies are just disposable cells in that corporate body.
So if the handbook is scripture, then the Waffle Party has to be the most disturbing sacrament.
It is. It's the absolute peak of their psychological manipulation. It's supposed to be the ultimate reward, but it's just so grotesque and degrading.
Let's break it down. It starts with infantilization. The grand prize is a plate of waffles, the food of a child.
It's a perfect satire of every meager corporate perk ever. The pizza party, the ping pong table. It's a treat for being a good little worker, designed to make you forget you're being exploited.
But then it shifts. It goes from childish to this deeply weird and sexualized ritual.
You have to describe the scene. It's essential.
The winner, Dylan, is taken to a special room. He has to put on a mask of the founder, Keir Egan. He sits on a bed in the middle of the office. And then 4 dancers in masks of the 4 tempers perform this writhing, erotic dance for him.
It's a controlled release of all the libido and humanity that Lumen suppresses every other minute of the day. For a moment, the worker gets to pretend to be the master, Keir, and symbolically dominate his own emotions.
But the whole thing is a lie. It's still inside the office. The dancers are probably other severed workers from O&D. It's a closed loop of exploitation that's just dressed up as pleasure. It proves that Lumen doesn't just own your labor. It owns your desires, too.
And you see that same logic outside the severed floor. The town itself, Keir, is a classic company town. It feels like Walt Disney's original creepy plan for Ipiat. A perfectly planned city with no room for spontaneity or dissent.
Right. And Lumen's secret hallways and testing floors, they're like the dark mirror of the utilidors under Disney World. The real tunnels that hide all the labor and the mess, so the magic on the surface seems effortless.
It's all about hiding the work, sanitizing the process. The Outies get the magic, the Innies are the hidden labor.
Okay, so let's bring all this home. The timing of this show was perfect. It came out right in the middle of the Great Resignation. All that anxiety about returning to the office after COVID.
It hit a nerve because we all already feel metaphorically severed. We code switch for our bosses, we doom scroll on our phones to dissociate. Lumen just made a chip that does what capitalism already asks of us.
Which brings us back to that central lie the whole system is built on: work-life balance.
It's a myth. The show proves it's a myth. Life, the Outie, isn't freedom. It's just the maintenance phase for the worker. You're just resting and refueling so the work part, the Innie, can go back and produce more value.
The Outie is the pit crew for the Innie's race car.
That's a great way to put it. And they're both miserable because they're both incomplete. They're fractured. The procedure creates this monster, proving that what we actually need is integration, not separation.
You know, it's interesting to contrast this with a show like The Office. In The Office, human connection makes a terrible job bearable.
Right. The office is a place for romance and friendship and pranks. In Severance, that same human connection isn't a comfort. It's a revolution.
Mark S. is like the dark, twisted mirror of Jim Halpert. He's sarcastic, he sees the absurdity, but his irony doesn't save him. It's just another coping mechanism.
The show is basically arguing that you can't Jim Halpert your way out of late-stage capitalism. Sarcasm isn't resistance, it's just a way to manage the trough.
So really, this show is a warning. It's saying this procedure is already happening to all of us, metaphorically. The Innie is that part of you that has to force a smile and hit a deadline even when you're falling apart.
And the Outie is the part that collapses on the couch at the end of the day, too tired to do anything but numb out because you're too dependent on the paycheck to actually fight back.
And the only way out, the only solution the finale offers, is to break the machine.
Reintegration, the painful, messy, public act of becoming whole again. Activating that OTC switch isn't just a plot device, it's a revolutionary act of forcing the master and the slave to look each other in the eye.
To force them to accept their shared reality. Because the system can handle us being in pieces. It can't handle a whole unified person.
That was a lot. A deeply disturbing dive. Before we wrap, let's just quickly run through some of the key symbols from the analysis, just to help lock these ideas in.
Good idea. So the elevator, it's not just a lift.
It's the river leaf, the river of forgetting. It's the physical mechanism of dissociation.
The break room.
It's Foucault's torture chamber, a re-education camp for your soul, designed to manufacture compliance through psychological, not physical, pain.
Okay. The baby goats. The weirdest image in the show.
They are raw biological capital. They're the Innies themselves, livestock, innocent, bred for a purpose they don't understand, waiting for some kind of harvest. It's horrifying.
And finally, the scary numbers.
That is the abstraction of modern labor. It's Graeber's bullshit jobs made literal. Their meaninglessness is the whole point. It's their weapon.
So we'll leave you with a final thought to chew on, something that builds on all this.
Yep.
If the Outie is willing to subject their Innie to this eternal suffering just for a paycheck and a little bit of psychological peace,
then how far have we already gone down that road ourselves? How much of our own wholeness, our own Gattungswesen have we already sacrificed for economic necessity?
is the Innie just the version of ourselves we agree not to look at? The part that deals with the toxic boss and the pointless meetings so our Outie can pretend to have an authentic life on the weekends?
So we want you to really think about that. What parts of yourself, your grief, your anger, your creativity, your frustration, do you intentionally leave locked in the elevator every single Monday morning? Because until we find a way to break that separation for ourselves, that door never really closes.